All right, so welcome to another rapid fire business story of the week. This is part of our rapid fire series, and today we have an incredible guest with us, someone who's achieved extraordinary success and is here to share their unique business journey with you. We're excited to hear their insights, so let's welcome them to the show. All right, so as this is our rapid fire series, we've got 1 minute or less to answer each question. So in a minute or less, give us the elevator pitch to your story and your life. Go.
That's great. Well, Fractional Legal Services is really our offering from a law firm perspective. We offer essentially an in-house legal team for small businesses and startups. So everything that a small business or startup might need from a legal perspective is available just on a fractional basis. So we like to say that we provide the right expertise from the right attorney at the right time and at the right budget. That's really a result of having worked in-house and in law firms and in different settings with different teams and realizing that there's a better way to practice law.
So that's fascinating. And I would love to dig a little bit deeper. So tell us a bit more about what you're working on today that you're most passionate about and believe will have the biggest impact.
So we're working on really developing and bringing this platform, the Fractional Legal Services platform, to innovators, because innovators, it's fun to work with innovators and watch them essentially bring something, a creation from their mind into real life. And while they're busy doing that, they're also trying to build a business around that. They're also trying to manage a team. They're also trying to manage their network. There's so many things there that they really need to offload some of the other issues in their business, especially legal and financial issues. So that's where our fractional legal team comes into play, with being able to take the load off of the innovators and allow them to do their innovation and the business side of things without having to worry about the messes and the cleanup that might need to happen around legal issues in their business.
So this next question is one that every entrepreneur has dealt with. Tell us about a time where you failed. We often say failure is the first step to success. So think about a time where you failed in the past. What happened? What did you learn from it?
Oh, that's an easy one. Failure, and this is in a context, I realized after about 10 years of working in a law firm setting and starting with a business, I learned that I had been practicing law the wrong way for what businesses actually needed. You know, when I got into a business setting, working with a CEO, CFO directly in the offices with them, I realized that the way I'd been taught to practice law by other attorneys in law firms wasn't really the way that aligned with what businesses needed and with what the executive team needed. There's a lot of kind of soul searching, I guess you could say, after law school and 10 years of practicing law, to go into somewhere and say, man, there's a better way to do this. There's a different way that is more aligned with the team and with the clients that I'm working for. So in a sense, I haven't normally called that a failure, I guess, but it was certainly a mindset shift that made me rethink the way I'd been doing stuff and realizing that there was a much better way to do it going forward.
That's fascinating. And we're definitely going to have you back on the show to dive deeper into each of these questions. But for now, one thing that I often say is, and I tell this to my employees and the people who work with me and for me all the time, is that when a tree falls in the forest, if nobody hears it, did that tree actually fall? This brings me to this next question. How do you make sure that all of these amazing projects that you're involved in get noticed? What marketing and advertising methods have worked best for you? You've got a minute. Let's go.
Well, not to plug Podcast Cola too much, but quite sincerely, I've tried a lot of different things, social media advertising, LinkedIn stuff. You know, our best voice for our services has always been past clients who are referring other clients to us. So that's, you can't beat that. But when you go outside of that circle, which of course you're trying to grow all the time, as you go outside of that circle in order to get that growth, being a guest on podcasts has been great. And when I heard about Podcast Cola, that was kind of my go-to. So I think over the last 4 or 5 months, I've probably done 40 or 50 of these podcast guest episodes, and the reception's been great. And more than that, it's connecting with the host personally and being able to make a connection there that you feel like you're really having a conversation with someone, and then you know that conversation is being broadcast to a much broader audience. So that's really where we're headed for our law firm voice, getting our message out there right now.
That was so awesome. We're definitely going to dive deeper into this on a later show. And as we approach our last question, before we ask people how people can get a hold of you, how people can reach you, learn more about the work that you're doing in your company, and we will include all that information in the show notes, what I wanted to ask you is, what is one piece of advice that you would offer to your younger self, to our audience, and to somebody, especially somebody who's just starting out in the same niche that you're in, but just doesn't know how to start or get going?
It's a great question. I think that what I would say, it doesn't necessarily have to do with the law per se, where, in the industries I practice in, but I think that there's one of the lessons I've learned, and it was probably 5 or 6 years ago that I really learned this. I've never thought of myself as a fearful person, but I realized that, we all have some fears inside of us that keep us from doing things better and trying things that are new. I think lawyers especially run into this issue because of, perhaps it's ego, perhaps it's fear, perhaps it's something else. But the lesson I learned was that the cure to fear, because fear is really the fear of future things that haven't happened yet. And so the cure to all fear in some form or another is to take action. Action dispels fear, right? Action tells you exactly what's going to happen, because when you take action, it happens. And so there's actually, it removes the impetus for fear altogether. So acting without fear, and that sort of relates to the motto or the slogan that I've chosen for my law firm. I've been using this for the past 20 years probably, and that is innovate with confidence. If we can do one thing for our clients, one thing for our team, thing for those around us, is to really help them both innovate but also have confidence. And so innovating with confidence has been that driving factor for us for a long time.
Amazing stuff. We're going to have to thank our guest today for being a guest on Business Story of the Week. And before we cut out on this episode, I wanted to ask you, how can people get a hold of you? How can people learn more about what you're doing? And how do people engage with you? And we will transcribe this and put it in the show notes for everybody to find.
Yeah, most people will connect with me personally on LinkedIn. I'm there quite a bit, pretty active. You can find me on LinkedIn, Jeff Holman, and says something about building fractional legal teams. That's me. A lot of our potential clients also will reach out on our website, because there you can book a call with me, a free 30-minute strategy call where we can go over your business roadmap, go over the things that are coming up, and what legal issues you might need to either clean up from your past or be planning around with those business milestones that you've got. So the website is intellectualstrategies.com, and love to connect with innovators and talk about the cool things that they're working on.
All right, amazing. So you did it. Thank you for being a guest on the show today.